have known, but I had it in me that if I just tried hard enough, and if I just kept my nose to the grindstone, and if I was perfect, and if I was smart, and if I was pretty, and if I was, don't cry, Becky, don't do it. If I was smart, and if I was pretty, and if I got the good grades, and if I kept my nose down, I would be fine. And for a long time, that worked. For a long time, perfectionism was my coping mechanism for mental illness. I didn't know it, and I'm not saying that the women in here that are perfectionists are the same way, because you can be a perfectionist and not be mentally ill, I'm sure. I know I should have brought tissues, I'm really sorry. I know, I'm so sorry. Thanks, Erica. So that was kind of my cover for a really long time. And then the freight train kind of hit me a little bit when I went to college. I had some really shitty family crap that went on, as most of us do, because none of us are perfect, right? So I had some shitty family stuff that came up. Mom wasn't dealing with it very well. I was away at college. I have a younger brother who is like my best friend in the entire world. He's the best person I've ever known. And his best friend committed suicide. He was 17, and Call, was he the captain? What's calling?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, was he the captain? Captain of the football team. Kyle Parker, you guys know this, okay. All-star student, all-star kid, like Captain America, like everybody loved him, and he shot himself. And, I'm sorry, Lindsay. Okay, so shot himself and his younger brother found him. So that hit my brother pretty hard, hit me pretty hard. When you're mentally ill, you can't deal with other people's mental illness very well, right? So my mom asked me to come home and raise my younger brother because she just couldn't do it because he was a basket case. So I came home. And that led to a lot of anger, right? Led to a lot of anger, abusive relationships, because mental illness is a cycle and it's a bad energy. And if you guys know anything about science and physics, energy has to move, it has to go somewhere, it has to get out. Bad energy has to get out somehow, some way. And so it will, and it does, and it did. So I didn't really deal with it either. I went to a couple like anger management classes because I got into some bar fights when I was younger. Super cool. Got into an abusive relationship, had some eating disorder problems, but all the while I'm thinking like, I'm fine. It's fine. You know, and it all kind of backs up on you because I wasn't handling it. And then life kind of happens, right? So while we're here tonight, I kind of want to talk about what happens when you don't deal with it. Because I didn't deal with it. And I'm 37. I got pregnant when I was like 35 or 36. I felt like I was pregnant for 2 years, so I don't remember. So pregnant for so long. Lindsay gets it, right? Yeah, pregnant for so long. So my daughter is 15 months old, and she is the best thing ever. And we had a really easy pregnancy. Everything was great. The end sucked, because it always does, because your belly's down to your knees and like you're peeing all the time. You guys know, you get it. So I went to have her, and I won't go into too many like gory details because I know birth stories are like, whoa, like nobody really wants to talk about it. But we had a difficult delivery, and it ended up being an emergency C-section, which happens to the upcoming mamas that are in here. Don't be terrified. But because of certain medical musculoskeletal issues I had, I couldn't be sedated from the waist down to block, what do they call that? Spinal block, thank you, Lindsay. I couldn't do that, so they had to knock me out completely. And it was terrifying, obviously. So I wasn't awake when my daughter was born, and she was in distress. And I was in distress, and things were very, very bad. And I didn't know how bad they were until later, which I think is a good thing. obviously. So because of that, and because I hadn't, the emergency level and how nasty the surgery part was, I didn't wake up for quite a long time, so I actually didn't meet my daughter until about 4 hours later. So you guys know when you have a baby, you release hormones, right? And then if you vaginally deliver, those hormones are replaced by oxytocin. When you breastfeed, oxytocin, right? I couldn't breastfeed either because of the trauma my body had gone through. So I wasn't releasing any chemicals at all. Nothing was being released. I was also on a lot of drugs, like a lot. So I think that kind of masked some things, because 3 weeks later, postpartum came, and it came really quick, and it came really hard, and it was, it was awful. I felt like a different person, and I remember when I knew it was postpartum depression, because all I would do would just cry all day, just be crying all day long, and I was like, I gotta call my doctor. So I called my doctor on it was a Thursday, and they put me on Zoloft, and by Sunday, I was planning my suicide. Ready to die. And I was determined to do it because I had convinced myself that I wasn't good enough. I wasn't smart enough. That Jessie, that's my daughter, would be better without me. That Justin, my husband, would be better without me. That I was a burden, that I was too much and not enough, all at the same time. I might need those tissues, Erica. So, thanks. So, I was planning my suicide, and I was gonna do it when I was on the way to meet my sister at, can you help me? To meet my sister for a movie, and it was The Shack. Do you guys remember that movie? And the book, which is my favorite book, by the way, ironic. So I was gonna meet her, and I knew that if I didn't show up, that she would do something, and then they would go looking, blah, blah, you guys get it. So I didn't do it at the last minute, because I won't go into the details of what I was going to do, but basically it would involve having to use something else to kill me, because I didn't want to have to actually do it myself. And I was more concerned for the other person, or what people would witness and how it would affect them, than I was worried about myself. And I was worried about my baby, and I was worried about Justin. That's my husband. So I went to the movie wanting to die the entire time, thinking about dying, planning how I was going to do it. That's all I could think about, was how I was going to die. And then after the movie, I sat in the parking lot for 2 hours, right outside what is now Colleen's gym, funny enough. Sat outside that gym for about 2 hours, having a panic attack, knowing I needed to drive myself to the emergency room, but I didn't know how to do it, and I didn't know what to say, and I was so scared, because I was like, they're gonna take my baby away. They're gonna put me in Western State. They're gonna take me away. I'm never gonna see my baby again. They're gonna give her to CPS. What am I gonna do? So I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried. And I called Justin's mom, who is an angel from heaven, and I verbal vomited to her everything but I'm suicidal, which is really what I needed to say, but I couldn't say it because I was worried about what she would think about that. I was worried about her worrying about me. I was worried about her being heartbroken over me wanting to die. I didn't give a shit about myself. I was worried about her. And then I called my mom, who's mentally ill. And she was like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, it's okay. It's like a person with a broken leg trying to hold other person with a broken leg. Like, I'll help you walk. What? No. So anyways, she's lovely, but it just didn't work. So Pam, that's mother-in-law, kind of walked me home. I was on the phone with her the whole time. Again, same kind of thing. So long story short, that night, I still couldn't calm myself down. I still needed to go to the emergency room. And finally at like 2 a.m, when I was just beside myself. And Justin, poor thing, didn't know what to do with me. He was like, I don't know what to do. So he ended up calling his mom again, who had already walked through this whole horrific day with me. And I don't know what dawned on her, but finally he was talking to her on the phone, and he finally handed the phone to me. And I answered it, and I'm like, you know. And she said, honey, I'm going to ask you one question. I want you to be honest with me. And I said, okay. And she goes, are you suicidal? And I couldn't say, what do you say to that? Yes, is what I should have said. But I didn't. I just cried, because that's embarrassing to admit. That's embarrassing, you guys. It's embarrassing to be like, my glorious life is so horrible, I want to die. This beautiful child I've been given isn't somehow worth it to me up here to go on living. I don't, like, what? That's embarrassing. So I just cried. And she came over and picked me up. And I want you to know, when I'm telling you this story, that if you're struggling or you know someone that's struggling, that I get these terrifying feelings that you have when you're like, holy shit, like, I am too much. Holy shit, what am I going to do with all this? Holy shit, what am I going to do? I don't know what to do. And you're so terrified of what if. You're so terrified of what's going to happen to you when you actually tell somebody, I need help. I am drowning. I am falling to pieces. I can't even see straight enough to pick myself back up. I don't even know where I am. Right? So she picks me up and basically like shoves me into the car, and she said, we're going to the emergency room. And I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And she was like, I'll tell you what to do, don't worry. I'll tell you when we get there. So we went down, and she went down and dropped me off, and she was in the little valet thing. Good Sam. And I said, I don't know what to say. And she said, just tell them the truth. And I was so terrified because I was so scared they were going to take away my daughter, who was, by the way, 3 weeks old. 3 weeks old. And I don't know if any of you guys have been to Good Sam, right? You know how the waiting room is a freaking nightmare. Okay, for some reason on this Sunday night, it was like 2:30 in the morning. There was nobody there. There was nobody in the waiting room. Nobody. Like, the nurses were bored, and they were standing behind the front desk, like lined up, all like chit-chatting with each other. There was like 7 of them. And so I'm walking into this audience like, hi, I want to die, hey. And I'm already terrified. So I walk up, and I'm bawling, obviously, right? And they're so sweet. And this lady says, can you tell me your name? I said, my name's Aubrie Montgomery. And she says, why are you here? And I don't even know if I got it out. I don't even remember, you guys. I remember telling her I was suicidal, but I was like hot snot, like crying, you know, like I just fell apart, like right on that desk. Of course I did. Like, I just fell apart. And these nurses that were standing there, not shitting you guys, they came around from out behind the counter, and they said, you came to the right place. We're going to take care of you. And they put their arms around me, and they gave me a box of tissues, and they wiped my tears for me. And they walked me straight back into a room. And they put me in a bed, and I stood there while they undressed me. And they put on a nightgown, and then they got me into bed, and they tucked me in, and they gave me some drugs, which I clearly needed. And they said, you did the right thing. You did the right thing. And I said, are you going to take my baby away? And they said, no, we're not going to take your baby away. So then the drugs kicked in, obviously, and I slept for the first time in 4 days, probably 5. And then the medical doctor came in a couple hours later, and he puts his hand on my legs, and he says, thankfully, you don't need me, because you would have needed me if you would have tried. So you don't need me, and that's a good thing. And I said, you're right. And he said, but you need to be here. And I said, I know. And he said, so I'm going to send the social worker in. You're going to talk to her for a little bit. And I said, okay. And then I slept some more. Then the social worker came in. This was probably 4 in the morning at this point, 5 in the morning. And she said, I have to do an intake interview, and I've already looked at your file. I understand that you had a baby 3 weeks ago. I said, yes, I did. And she said, I'm going to need you to talk about that. And I said, nope, I don't want to talk about it. She said, you have to. And so I did. And we talked about the whole thing. And I was a hot mess, and I cried the entire time because I didn't kind of know, I guess, logically at that point, how bad everything had affected me and how horrific and traumatizing our birth experience was. And she cried. Her name was Sabrina. She cried, and I cried, and we held hands. And she said, I'm sorry for being so unprofessional. And I said, are you kidding me? Like, this is what I need, obviously. And that's when she said, I'm committing you. You're voluntary because you walked in. If you try to walk out, you will lose your rights. You're not leaving. And I said, okay. And so from then on, you're like, committing, okay, I'm being committed. You don't think that that's a thing that they do, and you don't think that that's a thing that's going to happen to you. But it does, and it did. So they took me once they found a facility for me, because how many psychiatric hospitals are in Pierce County, Erica? 1. Where is it at? St. Joe's. Full bed. I was in Ballard. It's 3 hours away from where I live. I was there for 8 days, and I could have been there for 9, but I felt like I could do 8. I could leave after 8. And I won't go into the details of what it was like unless you guys really want to know. We can talk about that later. But I will tell you, it was probably the best experience I've ever been through. It sounds scary and it sounds horrible that you're in a psychiatric hospital, and there's people there with legitimate psychiatric problems that you see on TV, and you think that's scary. And I didn't think I needed to be there. And the intake nurse goes, you tried to kill yourself 24 hours ago. You need to be here. And so I stayed. And here's what I want you to take away from this. There's a couple different things I want you to take away from all of this. One is that you need people in your life that have known you for as long as possible. You need people in your life that have known you in different periods of your life to support you, because those people are going to pull you back to reality. They're going to soldier up behind you. They're going to be your army, and they're going to fight their way to the front because you can't do it. And they're going to support you when you don't know how to support yourself. I have people that I reached out to. I was completely embarrassed, but I knew my friends were going to be worrying about me because we text all the time, right? Hey, girl. So we're texting. They hadn't heard from me in 2 days. So I finally, once I had the wherewithal after a couple days of being in the hospital, the psychiatric hospital, I sent an email to my best friends, who are in the back room, by the way. They're the ones serving you booze. The pregnant one and the one next to her. So I sent them an email, and terrified, by the way, of what they were going to say. And I said, this is where I am and this is what happened. And they said, when can we come visit you? And they came and they visited. It's not like I was at the frickin' Ritz. I was at a, hi, this is my room. This is where nothing is. This is my bathroom. Oh, I don't have a door, sorry. Whoops. Don't mind that person talking to themselves. They're fine. Don't worry. It's okay. Not comfortable, but they came. And they came because they love me, right? So you need people in your life. I have friends here who have known me since high school. I'm 37. I have someone here who's known me since I was 9. Hi, Becky. And I have those girls who know me for 10, 15 years. You need those people. Those people will bring you back to life when you don't have a semblance of what to do. The second thing I want you to know is that mental illness is an and. It's not a but. I'm a million different things. And I have to tell myself this a lot, by the way. I'm a million different things. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a sister. I'm a fighter, I'm an athlete, I'm funny, I'm smart, and I have a mental illness. Not but I have a mental illness. It doesn't hinder my life. Those things are not mutually exclusive. Okay? Those things can go together peacefully if you treat yourself appropriately. Which brings me to my last point. You need to get help if you think that you need to get help. You know when you need help. I know when I needed help. I'm not dumb. Like, I know. The whole time I'm like, I'm fine. And you know you're not fine. There's resources. If you don't have insurance, there's still resources. There's things that you can do. There's a stigma attached to mental health. I even had it and I didn't know I had it. There's a stigma that says, just try harder. You don't need pills. Take your stupid pills. I posted something on Instagram the other day from Glennon Doyle. She's a writer. And she said, take your damn pills. Take your damn pills. Who cares? Take them. They make you better, right? If you have high blood pressure, you're going to be like, I'm just going to try harder. I'm just going to will it down. Like, come on. Take your pills. Those are the things that are important. Another thing, you guys have cards on your chair. Those have resources on them. It has if you want to help and it has if you need help. Mental illness is a seductive liar. And it tells you that those girls back there don't love me. Those girls back there think I'm too much. That Emily and Colleen don't want me around. This is what I think. Don't want me around. They think I'm dumb. They think, oh, here she goes. They think, Emily, you don't really want to help me. You actually feel sorry for me. That Bree, who's my nanny, thinks I'm crazy. And she takes care of my baby because she thinks I'm crazy. That's what my brain tells me every fucking day. Every day I fight that. Because the good side knows that that's bullshit, right? It's bullshit, right? And that if the good people in my life can keep reminding me of the good shit, that's what I need. That's what you need. Even if you're not mentally ill, right? That's what you need. And if you're on the brink, if you're right there, there's somebody here whose brother passed away, committed suicide. What did you tell me that your mom said if she could talk to your brother?
She would ask him to stay.
Stay. Stay. If you have someone in your life, or if it's you, you stay. And if you don't have an army behind you, the girl next to you is going to be your army, right? Those girls in the back are going to be your army, right? I'm going to be your army. That's what this is about. So if you're going, I don't have a best friend. I don't have a mom. I don't have somebody I can call. That's crap. That's why you're here. I'll stand up. She'll stand up. She'll stand up. So that's what these cards are for. That's to help you. Or if you want to help, we have resources there too. There's tons of things you can do to help the mental health community. And we have a couple people here that can also kind of shove you in the right direction. We have Erica Azqueta. She's here. Raise your beautiful hand. Karen Wright. Raise your beautiful hand. Erica works for the city. She works with homelessness, stability, and mental health. Right? Did I say that right? Okay. Karen does the same thing. She does it with youth, and hers is more private industry. It's a coffee house, the nonprofit coffee house. These women know what to do and where to send you. So if you or someone you know needs it, that's what they're here for. And that's what we're here for. Colleen?
Thank you.
Can I hug you? Yeah. You can give her a round of applause.
That was not easy to do. So thank you, Aubrie. Thank you guys for being here. Also not easy to do. It's a heavy topic. It's important though. And we, like Aubrie said, or Emily said, I can't remember which one of you guys touched on it, but we had the idea for this night a long time ago. And it was important to us then, it's important to us now, it's very important to us now. Everybody's hurting right now. And the world can be a really dark place. And it can be a beautiful place too. There is so much good in the world. And I know it's really hard for us when we turn on the news or we pick up our phones in the morning when we wake up, first thing I do. And we see terrible things come across our news feed and the TV. And we cannot forget how beautiful the world can be. And Emily had mentioned something really interesting today, and she said that one of her friends said, I love how positive social media has been today. And it has, and it's been beautiful, and people have been posting all of these amazing things and reaching out, and it's fantastic. And it's really sad that it's taken what has happened lately for that to take place. We have to check in. We have to check in with each other. We have to check in with our strong friends and the people that act like they don't need it, or that act like they don't know, that act like nothing's going on, nothing bad is going on. Sometimes those are the ones that need it the most. And so we have a responsibility, right, as human beings on this planet to check in with each other. Put your phone down or pick it up and call someone and ask them some uncomfortable questions. Had your mother-in-law and I asked you the uncomfortable, ugly question. Nobody wants to say the word self-harm. No one wants to say, are you thinking of hurting yourself? You don't want to ask your friends the questions, is something going on? We all know a new mom. Raise your hand if you know a new mom. Raise your hand if you know someone who's about to be a mom. You need to check in with those people. You have to. I have kids. I'm a strong personality type. I've never struggled with anxiety or depression or anything like that until I had kids. It does not discriminate. You have to reach out to those people. And it's challenging, and it takes a little bit of time, and it puts you in an awkward position, and it puts them in an awkward position. It's better to have that awkward moment and move past it. I would rather have an awkward conversation with somebody than have them hurt themselves or me feel like I'm going to do it. Yes? Anyway, we could go on for a long time about this. We have some time to connect and get to know each other. So please do that. Introduce yourselves. There's lots of unfamiliar faces, I'm sure, to a lot of you guys. So please introduce yourself. Grab a drink, mingle. We'll turn some music back on. Have a good time. Relax. Reach out. This is a safe place to do that. So please do. And if you guys have any questions, you can come to any one of us. If we don't have the answers, we will find them for you. We will find the person that has them. And if you don't have a community yet, this is it. You found it, okay? Thank you guys so much for coming and spending time with us on a Friday night. It means a lot to us. It does. So that's it. Thank you guys for coming. We do. We love you. If you're going to post anything tonight, if you're going to put anything on social media, if you want to use the hashtag, what did we say? GN, A Beautiful Mind. And that way we'll have one little album, a hashtag to follow where we have everything on there. So please feel free to use that. Post away, take pictures, have fun, enjoy yourselves. At about 8:30, we'll just ask that you guys start to grab your stuff and head towards the door. Thank you guys so much for coming. We thank you for being here.